The first round of presidential elections shook France this weekend. A refugee deal with Australia is in the works.
Let's hand it over to our international reporter, Claudia Buccio, with more.
Thanks, Jake and Gabby. Headlines all over the world show it will be two candidates from outside the traditional parties competing to be the next president of France. On Sunday, Emmanuel Macron won 24% of the votes. That's a million more than the runner-up, Marine Le Pen. Their views could not be more different. Marine Le Pen is a far-right nationalist who wants France to leave the European Union and wants to keep immigrants out. Emmanuel Macron is a centrist who wants France to stay in the European Union and supports an open immigration system. Annenberg Media's Ryan Thompson is in Paris to show us what factors are in play for this election.
Many people have their eyes on this seemingly normal election in the French Republic. Many are worried about the future of the European Union and the trade agreements and immigration agreements that have been established. Front National leader Marine Le Pen has said that if she wins the election, she will threaten a French exit from the European Union, a Frexit, if you will, and that could threaten these agreements and a European Union without France. Well, that union could not exist at all, possibly because of the size of the economies. So many are concerned about her presidency and what the implications of it would be. There's certainly a lot to see, a lot to talk about as we get closer to Election Day on May 7th. But that's the latest now from Paris. For Annenberg Media, I'm Ryan Thompson. Back to you, Claudia.
Thanks, Ryan. I spoke to an international relations expert about what he thinks will happen in France if Le Pen wins, or if Macron becomes the next president.
I think there's going to be a period of concern and probably reaction if Le Pen wins, but I think it'll steady itself up. It'll be a very conservative government. It'll be anti-immigrant and not very appealing to the multiculturalism of France. What I mean by conservative with Macron is more capitalist and more economically conservative. Could be wrong on this one, but I would say Macron is probably going to be the next leader of France.
This election could determine if Brexit is followed by a Frexit, whether France exits the European Union like Britain did. The U.S. will honor a refugee deal with Australia that President Trump called, quote, dumb. Vice President Mike Pence says the U.S. will stand by the agreement signed last November by President Obama, but that refugees will be subject to extreme vetting. Let's take a look at this map. With this deal, the U.S. has agreed to receive over 1,000 asylum seekers. They are currently in Australian-run detention camps off the two tiny islands here off the coast of Papua New Guinea. Most of them are from the Middle East and South Asia. In return, Australia will resettle refugees coming from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, who have been housed in a facility in Costa Rica. The U.S. State Department issued this response. The United States remains deeply committed to safeguarding the American public, just as we are committed to providing refuge to some of the world's most vulnerable people. As of now, it is unclear when these negotiations will start between the U.S. and Australia, but the UN will be in charge of this. Back to you, Jake.